Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 213 of the Classic Elite Podcast. My name is Scott, and I ruined my joke. I was going to say, and that Sam Worthington-looking man over there cosplaying as Sergeant Slaughter is Dustin. Oh, what's going on, man?
Same old. Ready to talk about some games?
You are, man. You're in like a fatigue-colored polo. You clearly got a haircut. Ready for boot camp.
No, they shave you completely bald.
So the movies are true?
Mm-hmm. And it hurts. It sucks.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess that's just the first, message of you're going to be uncomfortable from here on out. Just,
yeah.
Here you go.
The on-base barbers there, it's just the clippers with no guard, of course.
Yeah.
And they're just scraping that thing along your scalp the whole time. And you're thinking, this sucks, but I can't, make any face saying that it sucks because
in kindergarten you learned that horrible hair is nothing to be scared of. Do you have the letter, people? No? There was this, go on, what were you saying? I'll explain in a second.
That's like the easiest thing when it comes to basic training, so you don't want to show that you're already, I'm sick of this shit.
Yes, I've pussed out at the haircut. That is the definition of tripping at the starting line, right? In Ohio, and I think it's kind of around the country. I think it depended on just your school system. In kindergarten, we had the letter people, and every letter would be associated with some sort of a character. And one of them was H was horrible hair. And the idea was that he was scared of getting his hair cut because getting something cut hurts, but getting your hair cut doesn't. So instead of explaining how nerves work or whatever, they just have goofy cartoon characters that are like, getting your hair cut's fine. Which it is. There was munchy mouth, there was tall teeth, Super Socks. Super Socks had the best song.
Right. Clearly.
P for Patches. Really, you didn't have this. Oh, I feel bad. I mean, it's a terribly archaic way to teach kids letters.
I may have, and I just forgot it.
I gotta send you some YouTube shit. It's pretty funny. It's like Discount Jim Henson, puppetry.
Oh no.
So, but Dustin, welcome to
2017,
the year of our human era. 12,017.
I've already screwed it up.
I saw a really funny thing on Twitter where it was tweeted from the Mega Man account. Mm-hmm. And it was a piece of notebook paper with 20XX crossed out and 20XX written above it. And it was the caption of, I always do that at the beginning of the year. It's so hard to adjust. It was a good, spot-on joke. I saw Colin Moriarty tweeted out, and I'm like, that's pretty funny. So, how was New Year's for you?
Doing it was good. It was old people fun.
Yep.
I got together with a buddy that I served with, and his wife, and her sister, and his brother, and then his sister and her husband and Kim. And we played Cards Against Humanity and a game called Quelf, which is a board game where really your only goal is to just make yourself look like an idiot.
Okay.
I had to, for example, I drew a card and I had to stand up, do my hand in a circle, then place it on my forehead, put my other hand up, and say something like, "Go ahead, Jack Bumblebuck, fire away," or something like that.
Wait, that's it?
That's it.
Weird.
Yeah, my buddy had to get up and tap dance while telling an embarrassing story about that happened to him while he was a kid.
Oh, okay, now I'm back on board.
It has global rules where if one person stands up, everybody has to stand up. If you don't stand up, you have to go back a space.
Okay.
I had like one rotation of a turn where I had to get up and find stuff around the house to make a Halloween mask.
It's like right up your alley.
Yeah.
What'd you come up with?
I cut a.
Wait, this was at a stranger's house, right?
It was at my buddy's house.
Yeah, but you got to go like carte blanche through someone's personal like kitchen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I kind of cheaped out. I just took a paper plate and cut some holes in it.
Ah, kind of cheaped out. You should have been kicked out of the game for that week. Especially you. You got to represent Halloween, man.
I had to get back in time for my turn. Otherwise, I would have been penalized.
Okay. All right. That's fair. My, crap, I got a dice game for Christmas and I forgot. Never mind.
Is it Farkle?
No. I forget.
Why does every board game have to have a stupid name?
You know, when you said, what was it called? Quelf?
Yeah.
That sounds like something that Tolkien would call, like, bad human smells. You know, like it's Elvish for stinky human or something.
Yeah.
Or a stinky human odor, you know? I don't understand that either. I don't know why they have to be so obtuse with names sometimes, you know? Quelf. You know, I saw something really bizarre today. Have you ever heard of a car called EQUSS? EQUS? So I get a lot of Canadian license plates around me. So I first thought it was an Ontario license plate. And I'm like, oh, that's just some weird, like, Canadian car, whatever. It kind of looks like a Lincoln, like the
right.
MK
Ultra,
MKX or MKZs or whatever, just like the new looking Lincoln Town cars, kind of, or whatever, like sporty but an old person car. So then I realized it was the North Carolina first in flight license plate. So I was like, what? With a Pittsburgh Steelers license plate cap over it. So
okay.
it was a whole bunch, like, from a detective standpoint, where I was trying to pinpoint why I don't like this person driving so slow in front of me. Like, how am I going to pigeonhole him into a stereotype from where he's from, right? Because when I lived in North Carolina, speed limits were the speed limit. That's all the faster people would go. And that's if they were in a hurry. So you were lucky to go 30 and a 35, at least where I lived in Charlotte. So I was like, oh, typical North Carolinian. But then I don't know what people in Pittsburgh drive like. Canadians, I give them a pass because they're used to the metric system.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you know, when that translates to miles per hour, they always think they're going fast. So,
yeah, I used to think that people drove fast in North Carolina until I moved to Nashville, and then I drove back to North Carolina. I was like, man,
people go slow.
Everybody's doing like 20 miles an hour.
It really was frustrating with how. Oh well, traffic's traffic. Self-driving cars, then it won't matter. Bring on the Uber. Hey, a town like me really needs automated fleet because we can't staff the drivers, but we have the right amount of people that would use the service. So we kind of have a taxi cab service here, but like an automated Uber or Lyft would just do gangbusters. Rides all day whenever you want.
Until someone's killed, and then no one will ever use it.
That's not true. People are killed in cars every day with people driving.
People, project that on that stupid people who don't know how to drive.
That's true.
This is like a whole different stigma of like Skynet trying to kill us one by one.
That's absolutely fair. I do think we'll get so used to it that stigma will go away. But you're right. At first, if there's a couple of like early deaths or whatever, like that'll be a tremendous PR hill to climb. But if it goes a year or two without anything like that, then people will say, oh, well, this was just an anomaly or this is just a fluke. We've been good for this many years. I welcome that.
Eventually it'll be like shopping on the internet.
Yeah, it's just what you do. or jumping out of hover cars with your lightsaber to magically land on the person you're chasing. Like, that's the real future. Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. Real future past.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, well, I guess let's get into the show. We're a video game podcast, so we're going to talk about video games here. If you're interested, we started an Instagram. Neither of us know what to do with it, so there's probably going to be some, parent-level stumbling on how the hell to use that. But we'll post pictures about games and shit we're playing or funny stuff we see. So you can follow us there. We currently have 1 follower. We follow 1 person. So if you would like to be one of those people, follow us at Classic Elite on Instagram. And shout out to Kevin, the Canadian correspondent, for hooking us up with our first follower. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Dustin, when I tried to post a picture, it was so unintuitive to me, just to me. I couldn't figure out how to type anything, so I just thought for a second, oh, well, maybe you just do take pictures, and that's what it is. And then I saw someone else's Instagram, and there were, like, words under the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled at that, so I don't know if our Instagram's gonna blow up. But yeah, it's too many things, right? It's frustrating. So yeah, you can follow us there if you would like. Again, that's at Classic L337. So Dustin, news this week.
Yes.
Which one of these stories jumps out to you the most?
What's going on with the Horizon 3 patch?
So yesterday, Forza Horizon 3 put out a patch that would corrupt your save file and require you to reinstall the 50 gig game. I heard the guys on Giant Bomb talking about it, and we also got a tweet from Twitter from Zarek. He knew that I'd been playing the game, so he gave me a heads up, like, hey, don't patch the game; it's gonna corrupt your save file. So I went and looked, and I was nervous because I do allow Forza to auto update.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do with a lot of apps on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do with Steam. It's just
because you don't want to manually do that crap. You got a million things that you want to update,
right? And I want to play it when I turn it on.
Yeah.
And because my my internet backup service I followed their instructions. Basically, I was having issues. They have 2 products. One does a mirror image and one backs up your system remotely, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used their service to reinstall my new hard drive I got. My new boot drive. Didn't work. I don't know how many hours I spent on tech support going back and forth. They finally tell me the only way to get it working again is to do a clean install of Windows. So I do a clean install of Windows. Well, during the clean install, Windows didn't map things identically with how I originally had them with my other hard drives, like my media drive, my recording drive. So then my backup service just said, oh, well, it now sees that I added all these new drives. So I had to re-back up all of my data.
Mm-hmm.
And their engineers, through a lot of back and forth, told me, no, you just have to re-back it up. There's nothing we can do. The whole point of me backing it up was so that I don't have to re-back it up. And I had 2.8 terabytes of data. I can't afford that on my bandwidth cap. And I was very patient with them. All of 2016 was a disaster with them. Every time I would think it would fix, if I would do anything with my computer, it would screw it up. So I actually ended up canceling and got a refund, and now I'm in the process of having to re-back up my data because I had to do that anyways. So economically, I had to actually up my internet to unlimited.
Man.
Because I crunched the numbers, and my overage fees to back up just my hard drive would have cost about the same as if I signed up for unlimited for a year. So thank you, data caps. That's very cool. I'm unlimited now, so I can breathe easy again. But it's still it was ridiculous. 1 terabyte is not enough monthly data. Like, if you're using... Why would... ISPs is bullshit that they count file security and backup against your cap.
Yeah.
That's insane. So, oh well, that's what it is. So, yeah, so this... To get back on track, sorry. I'm not too worried about it eating up my data anymore because I'm in this situation, but still, if you have to reinstall a game because somebody errantly put out the wrong patch, that sucks. Like, what if you have a slow internet connection or a tight bandwidth cap? And let's say you burnt through, like, 20% of your internet to get Forza in the first place.
Yeah.
And you're just... Oh, my God. And do you remember me having all those issues when I was installing Forza? Where I must have ripped through, I estimated, about 100 gigs to try to get it installed?
Mm-hmm.
So if I would have been affected by this, I'd be looking at 200 gigs of data just to get Forza working. So this Windows Store stuff is quite atrocious at the moment. Like, it's really, really bad. The cloud saves, I will give them credit. Like, that works really well. But the download stuff, having to restart downloads from scratch is really egregious. I guess I would have been okay with it if Steam and Blizzard and my phone weren't as bad. All the Unity games suck. Like, every time there's a massive Hearthstone update, I have to re-download the game. But I guess that's a Unity problem, which that game's built on Unity. That's the engine problem, not the way they did it, I guess. From what I understand. I'm not a developer. I wouldn't know. But yeah, man, Windows Store PC stuff is clunky right now, and it sucks. Like, what's the recourse on something like that? Like, how can you make that right for the consumer?
I don't know if you can.
I mean, like, should Microsoft have some sort of, like, reimbursement program if they force you errantly over your data cap?
Yeah, like, send in your internet bill and...
Like, yeah, like, can they validate the... I don't know, it's... But then who determines what is causing or what... Like, that opens up the whole other net neutrality thing. Because then it starts prioritizing what data should count, what data shouldn't. Sucks. I'm really glad that it's not a crazy system where, like, I'm charged more for hot water than I am for cold water. Like, I get water and then my house takes care of it from there.
I know what they could do. For Microsoft could just make ISPs stop charging overage fees or data caps.
It's turned into such a utility. Like, it's a disgusting practice by them. And I realize they're trying to protect themselves, but having an oligarchy in a service that we all use like that, where no competition can even arise, is really... When I say oligarchy, I meant oligopoly. To have... It's very frustrating, isn't it? Like, we have no choice. You either... I have AT&T or Time Warner. It sucks. Most of the country only has Comcast. And people in San Francisco, there's good ISPs available there, but it's like $4,000 to get the equipment installed because they don't have the infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that sucks.
We got to fight the man.
With other men, let other people get in that fight. That's all I want, you know? Like, maybe Verizon is the best. Maybe Time Warner is the best. I just want someone to keep them honest. Like, our postal system used to suck until FedEx and UPS clean their clocks, and now you can track to the day where your federal packages are. It's wonderful. Yep. So, all right, let's see here. Also, speaking of political crap, Dustin, CNN used some Fallout 4 footage when discussing a Russian hacking story. Did you?
That's great.
Is this the first time you saw it was in the notes here, or did you happen to see this like on Facebook or anything?
I saw it in our notes before we started, and I clicked on it and checked it out. It's really good.
It's yeah. So if you're not familiar, CNN ran one of their little segmented stories, and this one was about kind of Russian hacking stuff, and the current, I guess, new quote-unquote Cold War between the Russians and the U.S. And so as they were running this, they showed a computer screen from Fallout 4. As far as, like, showing them what hacking interfaces look like, I guess. I don't know. And someone on Reddit, like, pointed it out. And, like, part of me wants to believe that there's some, like, entry-level editor at CNN that's just slipping in Easter eggs. But the skeptical part of me is like, no, they're just carte blanche. Like, Google image search results, like, what looks like hacking on a computer.
Google image hacking.
So, I'm surprised they didn't, as Kevin from Canada would get annoyed, surprised they didn't have a dude with, like, grids lining on his face from, like, the computer monitor. From, like, hackers.
Yeah.
He's got some, like, Russian guy over there with his little, like, nesting dolls next to the monitor with, like...
Wearing one of the big fuzzy hats that covers his ears.
Exactly, right? This is vodka and his, like, laser lines on his face. I think that's it for stereotypes that I know for Russians. So, yeah, that's pretty funny. CNN does a lot of, like, crap like that. It's frustrating. But I love the internet exists for them to be called out for that. CNN's supposed to be, like, reliable. And I don't think they are.
They reliably give away the questions to debate.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. We'll get back on video games, but you don't want to hear Dustin and I start complaining. We do agree with each other on quite a bit of stuff, though, so... The next news thing was Diablo 3's Diablo 1 mod is finally out today. It'll be out all of January, so I definitely need to play this. Dustin, did you ever play the first Diablo at all?
I did, yeah. That's actually the one that I got into. The only one I've ever beaten.
I remember us talking about this. Yeah, I guess they're going to do this according to the GameSpot article. Kind of whenever there's a big anniversary, they're going to bring some stuff out like this, which I thought was pretty neat.
If you want to pick up the battle chest at Walmart, they still sell those. The Diablo 1 and 2 battle chest. And Diablo 1 runs on Windows 10.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Blizzard still patches Diablo 2. Patches!
That's awesome.
All right, goddamn it, GameSpot. And your stupid auto-playing ads. Yeah, this one, it's patch. It's available for PC, Xbox One, and PS4 versions of the game. And the way they say it is it's more like an homage versus a remake.
Okay.
So they say it's got retro-style graphics and sound effects and an old-school UI and movement that is locked to 8 directions.
Cool.
So it's very freely flowing in Diablo 3. So it's cool to have it kind of locked on a grid. And this is, while it isn't required, Blizzard recommends making a new character to play through the dungeon. I'm sure that's so that you don't stomp in there with, like, your level 300 mage and...
Start wrecking shop.
Probably not. I meant to say monk. I'm sorry. Any Diablo players out there that wanted to kill themselves hearing me just call it a mage. My bad.
I hope
probably are mages, actually. I don't know.
I hope they have that awesome town music.
Oh, like I don't know what the Diablo 1 town music sounds like. I wonder... The Diablo 3 town music's wonderful. It's like this like acoustic guitar kind of thing. And I wonder if it's like a live action version of the sampled stuff they did back then. Like, is it the same song just redone?
I don't know.
Because I've only played Diablo 3, you've only played Diablo 1. Neither of us can sing, so I guess we'll have to Google that later.
I don't know if you've heard my Smooth McGroove impersonation, but it's pretty good.
Was that you or me that did that? I think it was you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, we've heard it. It was excellent. So that's cool. If you've been looking forward to that, definitely go download it, play it. It's not a big patch. I want to say it was like 700. I loaded it before the show, and it was like 700 megabytes, maybe. So,
not bad at all.
No, not super. Not relatively speaking, not at all. And then the Assassin's Creed Humble Bundle was announced and launched. This has some really cool things. So you can pay what you want, and you'll end up getting Assassin's Creed Chronicles. I'm guessing these are books for India, China, and Russia, as well as the first Assassin's Creed game. That's for PC through Uplay. And then Assassin's Creed Liberation HD, Assassin's Creed 3 with DLC, and also the deluxe version of Assassin's Creed 2 that's available if you pay a little more than $7, but less than $8. And then if you pay $15 or more, you get Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed Unity. Dustin, I always get these mixed up. Is Brotherhood the one that you waste all that time on rooftops, or is that like Revelations or whatever? What was that one you hated?
The one that I thought was garbage was Revelations, and I noticed that's not in this bundle.
No, they must have heard you.
Yeah, it's about time.
I remember hearing Black Flag was awesome, and I've played some of Black Flag.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, but I'm not much on open world games. Not that I'm not always against them, but yeah, for whatever reason, I didn't like the boat controls as much as I thought I would. Like it's got.
What's that on?
I have it on PC.
Okay.
But it was also on 360. It's one of the best looking 360 games I've ever seen. I'm assuming it's on PS4 or PS3. I don't know. You haven't talked about Assassin's Creed in a while, but you've played a good amount of Assassin's Creed, right?
I played a little bit of the first one. I played it through to completion. And the second one I actually platinumed. I got every trophy in the second one. The story is hot wit garbage, but the gameplay was awesome.
Okay.
Like the fighting was awesome. Like you start out with a sword and your little wrist blade thingy that you do the assassinations with.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows you to get so good that you can just disarm and kill people with their own weapon. So it felt really good to, like, you get caught and like you would be surrounded by all these guys and they would try to attack you, and you could just unarmed this entire group of dudes, just disarm them methodically and kill them with their own weapons, and they just walk away.
That's satisfying when you feel like a Superman or whatever.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I like that. That's a big reason why I liked Batman and Shadow of Mordor. I like combat that makes you feel like a badass.
Yeah.
But outside of 2, the Revelations or whatever, is that the name of it, right? Revelations?
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Revelation. Yeah, that game was garbage.
Yeah, I remember you hating it. Did that wreck the series for you? As far as wanting to play 3 or 4?
Yeah, because I skipped Brotherhood. Because I was still a student back then, so I didn't have money to pick up every Assassin's Creed that came out every year. And then I played Revelation because we got a review copy of it, and then I was just like, no, I'm done.
Understand.
Because everyone other than Black Flag got like universally panned by critics.
Yeah, and a lot on technical issues and stuff. Really bad frame rates, textures not showing up. People without faces. Just eyeballs. Good stuff. So, all right, and then Dustin, that dude, I think you watch a lot of his reviews. Chris Stuckman, the movie dude, he did a fantastic Rogue One review with Doug Walker from Channel Awesome and the guy with the glasses. Mm-hmm. And I loved that review that they did so much that I'm like, I'm gonna go watch a Chris Stuckman video. I never really watched too many of them, so I'm like, that was awesome what he did. I'm gonna go watch some. And he listed his favorite movies of 2016, and one of his favorites, and maybe it was his favorite, was this movie called The Nice Guys. Have you seen this, or do you know much about it?
The only thing I know about it is I've seen his reviews of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Russell Crowe, who I'm not usually that big of a fan of, and Ryan Gosling, who I'm not usually that big of a fan of, together in the late 70s as kind of conflicting private investigators, I guess.
Okay.
And it's a dark comedy, kind of in the way that, I don't know, Like maybe Guy Ritchie has funny, dark, circumstantial humor, or
Okay.
like I was laughing so hard. I really loved the movie. Plot wise, there was some dumb stuff, but Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling were freaking amazing in it. Like,
Sweet.
just so I thought it was. There's only one scene that I didn't like from Ryan Gosling, and Ryan Gosling's character has this daughter that's. She reminded me of. Is it Penny from Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
That his. She kind of reminded me of her.
pigtails?
Yeah, kind of reminded me of her a little bit. Like smarter than her dad, sort of. It was. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. It was a fun ride, and it was really. It really cracked me up. I rented it and then bought it on Blu-ray right when I was done.
Right.
I'm like, I need to own this one.
That's good. Man, I hate Inspector Gadget.
Like just in general,
Yeah, that cartoon was so stupid. I hate it.
I loved it.
Even when I was a kid, it drove me nuts. Because I was like, this guy's a moron. Why does he have any responsibilities whatsoever?
I don't know why that didn't bother me.
I don't know. It drove me nuts. It pissed me off. But I was like, that computer book is rad. I want one.
Yeah, maybe there is. Yeah, absolutely. Or a dog that could like speak through a collar.
Yeah.
She was rad. Like that whole. Maybe it was because I liked her and Rain so much. Like most of the episodes featured those two.
Mm. He was an idiot.
He was an idiot.
Nuts.
He was an idiot. Yeah. I totally understand where you're coming from. It didn't bother me, but yeah, that would... Can't argue with that. Thought he was an idiot. He was an idiot.
And he had a helicopter head. Like, he had all the coolest stuff. He was too stupid to do anything with it.
You know, maybe there is some hatred deep down inside for Inspector Gadget from me. Do you remember the Chevy Avalanche? The, like, pickup truck?
Mm-hmm.
You know the back of it? I always said that it looked like when Inspector Gadget's car was in the middle of a transition from the minivan to the sports car. And it drove me nuts because it looked like an unfinished vehicle to me. It's kind of like when, I don't know, like if a light switch like wiggles a little bit but doesn't flick all the way. Like if you're compelled to want to fix it, or if someone's hair is like out of place in their eyes and you just want to like knock it away. That's how I felt every time I saw a Chevy Avalanche. Because it looked like an unfinished Gadget transition for me. But yeah, I would highly recommend The Nice Guys. I thought it was great. I liked it more than Rogue One. It's not going to earn as much money, and it's going to not get as high of a review mark on Metacritic, but I thought it was better.
I need to remember that next time Kim and I have a date night.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I can't wait to watch it again. For whatever reason, even though it said Amazon Prime, maybe the DVD's not out yet, but I think it is. It's still taking like a week and a half to get to me. I hate when that happens every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'll buy something that's labeled Prime, and the estimated shipping date or arrival date is like a week and a half out. I'm like, what the hell?
Sometimes that happens with me, and it still gets here in like a couple of days.
This is going to arrive on time, unfortunately. Hasn't even been marked shipped yet, and it was projected to arrive between Monday and Wednesday of next week. So yeah, maybe if it ships tomorrow, but I don't think it will. Oh well, not that big of a deal. It's just going to make it that much sweeter when I do get to rip it and watch it, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, I've thought back to a couple of scenes, and I crack up just even thinking about it. Yeah, keep that in mind with The Nice Guys. So, that's it for news this week. We managed to stretch things out pretty far. Did you see any movies before we talk about what you've been playing? Or
the last movie I watched? Not really. No, I can't. I don't think I've seen anything recently.
Okay. Well, yeah, and before we get to what we've been playing, Dustin, it's your YouTube channel of the week. Who are we featuring this week?
GGG Man Lives. That's 3 G's Man Lives.
I saw some of these. I liked him.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. His reviews are a little more straightforward. He has an Australian accent, unless you're Australian, in which case he talks normally. And every episode he says something. He'll he'll use the word Sonny Jim, and it's hilarious every time he uses the word Sonny Jim because he's completely straight the whole time. Like there's no real intentional humor in it except for when he just goes out of his way to use Sonny Jim. But he does a lot of PC stuff. He does a little console stuff. But yeah, knowledgeable dude, entertaining, a million different reviews already.
Yeah, what I watch, like you said, he just delivers it kind of straight.
Mm-hmm.
But not boring in any way, but it just feels like factually based instead of personality based.
Although he does enunciate, whenever he calls something a piece of shit, he says it like James Rolfe. Like he'd be like, a piece of shit.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so GGG Man Lives.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I would recommend it for sure. From what I saw, anyways. How long have you been watching this stuff?
Since before, like 3 or 4 weeks now.
Oh, okay, awesome. Don't you love
Probably
when you
'cause,
find a new channel on YouTube that you just want to...
Yeah.
It feels so good.
It's great because at work, if I'm doing stuff where I'm like imaging computers or going through a bunch of them, updating drivers and BIOS, stuff like that, I can put those on and have them in the background, and I can work while listening to it.
Right? Yeah, that's good.
It's perfect.
Stuff. Awesome. So, Dustin, man, what have you been playing since last week?
So I played. Let's start with what I've already talked about. Ratchet and Clank. Continue to go through that with Solly. I may be picked up by the authorities for child labor because I've learned that I can kind of use him to grind. I just kind of give it to him and he plays and he doesn't get very far and he'll die, but he'll continuously go through and kill enemies. So he's picking up bolts and he's picking up raritanium the whole time.
Hey, as long as you don't duct tape his hands to the controller, I think you've got plausible deniability.
Well, yeah, I let him play a little earlier today, and after just a little bit of time, he had like 14 pieces of raritanium for upgrading. And for people who don't know, you can upgrade your weapons using raritanium, and it's kind of like was it the license system from Final Fantasy X, where it's kind of on a grid, and you start at one point, and then for every piece of raritanium, you can go another point on the upgrade path.
Yeah, that touches it, so it like really branches out.
Yeah, and you have limited choices when your weapons are level 1, but as you use them, they go up in levels. So when they're level 5, you can unlock everything if you have the raritanium to spend on it.
And I think that just shows how brilliant the game design is in that, where a young person can enjoy just playing the game just to collect stuff, right? But it's not too grindy, and there's not too much of a stifling progression where an adult wouldn't want to play it. You know, like, oh, this is too easy or too boring or whatever. It's just, that game really is fantastic. It really is awesome.
And Solly's getting really good at it. He will kill stuff until he runs out of ammo, and then stop, hit triangle, select another weapon, and then go at it.
That's got to be mind-blowing to watch him, like, just get it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, dude.
It's so awesome.
He'll have to go to school here in Ohio. We've got some universities up here doing esports scholarships.
Ooh, okay. That's what's up.
So, who knows where these skills you're... It's like playing catch with your son. My dad played catch with me.
Yeah. Now you're a baseball star.
Now I'm a baseball star. I did love baseball, though.
I don't know. I have to see what kind of shape colleges are in 14 years.
You know, it might just be a minor league. Like, it just straight up, he's wrecking kids in his high school.
Yeah.
And he's winning tournaments. That might just be the trade. Like,
yeah.
You know, just doesn't need to go through the NCAA.
Oh, man, yeah. He turns like 18, gets some sponsors, as long as he's not on Adderall the whole time.
That's true. Just half the time. You got to.
I will piss test him every day.
He'd be like, You don't let him out until he's done grinding Ratchet and Clank for you. If he gets caught. You're already on the speed. You're going to sit here and wear it off for my benefit.
That's right.
So, yeah, Ratchet and Clank's great. Definitely check that out. It's cheap now, so there's no reason not to get it if you have a PS4.
Yeah. Man, I'm so stoked I got that for $10. That's such a good game.
I bought it for $40 and didn't have buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's worth that, so. Also, now I'm very curious to see what you have to say about Super Hot.
Super hot. Super hot. That game is awesome.
Yeah?
It is so good.
I have it on my wish list.
Oh, just buy it. Just buy it and play it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Is it still on sale? I think I got it for like $13 or something instead of $20.
I don't think it is, but next time it's on sale, regardless, I'll get it.
Okay.
It's on my wish list, so I'll get an email when it goes on sale.
Like, have you seen footage? You kind of know the gist of the gameplay? Okay. Yeah. Man, it's good.
Explain the gameplay, though, if someone's not familiar with Super Hot.
Okay, so Super Hot is a first-person shooter where time is almost at a standstill if you aren't moving. Time only moves when you move. It only moves at normal speed when you move. If someone shoots at you and you're standing still, the bullet slowly tracks at you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just stand there. There's still some tension when you're like trying to decide something. Mm-hmm. But it is, think like a first-person shooter crossed with Bushido Blade, where one solid hit kills you. And time stands still, and that's Super Hot. It's like 2 or 3 hours long. It's like super simple looking. Like all the enemies are red, all the backgrounds are white. There's no textures on anything really. But it turns first-person shooting into a puzzle game.
They have a VR mode too.
Yeah,
if you have a Vive, I think it's Vive. Yeah, you can get it through Steam. That would be pretty neat to just experience as well. What I saw Super Hot looked just rad. I want to say you can like cut bullets in half with katana blades, and
you can shoot bullets out of the air.
You can shoot a bullet that's coming at you.
You can you'll start, and the first one will be like a guy shooting at you, so you move, and then you pick up a gun, and then you shoot at him, and you might have to dodge a bullet or two. But by the end of it, it's like the level comes up, and one guy is shooting another guy, and when he dies, his gun starts flying through the air. So you grab that gun, and you shoot a guy who's pointing a gun at you, who's like the most threatening, the one who's going to shoot you first. You shoot that guy to kill him, and then you turn and throw your gun at the other guy because he's going to turn and shoot at you. So you shoot that guy, and you turn and throw the gun, and then when you move, that's when the bullet actually starts to move, and the gun starts to move. And then you jump, and the bullet hits the guy and kills him, and the gun hits the other guy, and that makes him throw his gun up. So you grab that, and you shoot him with his own gun, and you spin around, and oh man, it's so cool. It
just looks like it makes you feel just rad, like you're the most like ninja gunslinger ever.
And at the end of the level, it shows you the whole thing in real time.
So it's like pop, 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 and it's just done. That's
so
cool.
It looks like you're Neo in the Matrix because you're just.
That's awesome. Oh, okay.
I played the whole thing in like one sitting.
I hear that's the way to do it.
And then after that, it unlocks an endless mode.
Yeah. So if you just want to mess around.
Super hot.
Hell yeah.
We hosted somebody on our Twitch channel. We hosted Chewy.
Oh, nice. Manipool.
The Manipool, yeah. He did a charity stream. He was trying to raise $250 for Take This, which is an organization that is trying to help with like mental illness and the stigma of mental illness in the gaming community.
Okay.
And he was trying to raise $250 and ended up raising $1,001.
That's awesome.
So he like quadrupled his goal. That's right. He actually played. I thought of because he played Super Hot on the stream.
Did he do that for 24 hours? To one of those crazies?
It was like 10 or 12, I think.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first times I saw like Chewy was him. I was watching your stream for some reason, like before we knew each other that well. Like it was just like emails back and forth on the. You were doing a Let's Play or the Children's Miracle Network, like 24-hour gaming thon, and he like came over or something, or like
that may have been the day we met.
Oh really? Oh, yeah. I think I did. I think you did say that.
Yeah.
It's been years. He was on one of our shows around 100.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think how long ago that was.
That was
2012, maybe?
Solly, probably? Yeah. Man, that was a minute ago.
But Manipool's a great podcast. I used to listen to it all the time, even though I don't play Magic.
Yeah.
Chew's got some
That's
other
when you know
stuff
it's a good
too.
podcast.
Right. He's also a stand-up comic, so he's pretty damn funny. Not that you're inherently funny if you claim to be a stand-up comic, but I think he's just legitimately hilarious. So, good for you for helping leverage our 32 followers on Twitch to help.
Oh, yeah. That. He may have had one extra viewer that night because of us.
Hey, we'll claim credit for that $1 over 1,000. That 4X would have been an asterisk without us, Chewy.
That's right.
And then, speaking of streaming stuff, I started watching you play the next game on your list. I watched all the first one and some of the second one.
Yeah. Was that painful?
The audio levels were weird. Like, it was hard to hear you over the game.
Okay.
So it was distracting when you were talking, but I like your commentary. So I would listen for it, but then inevitably a character would start talking, or there would be like action in the game, like shooting or something, and I would not hear what you were saying sometimes.
Okay, so I still need to dial in those levels.
But I hated Deus Ex Mankind Divided when I tried it.
Yeah,
I want to go back and play it now that I watched you like go through the intro and stuff.
All right,
looks good.
So yeah, I was playing Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Just came out. I played on the PS4, and it was the first episode of Cyberpunk Saturdays. Although I did play
sometimes on Sundays.
I only got to play like an hour, and I wanted to play more. But yes, that game it's clunkier than it looks. Like, it controls clunkier than the action looks. So there's a bit of a disconnect when it comes to controlling Adam Jensen. But still, overall, it's pretty good. And a lot of the 2 episodes that we've put out so far is really just me kind of getting used to the game.
Yeah. Hey, AJ, what's up? Thanks for joining us.
Hey. Just trying to get used to the stealth and the controls. But I think a lot of streaming is just getting over the idea that you have to be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. You just gotta accept the fact that you're gonna screw up.
Yeah, people don't care. When I watch people play video games, I don't care when they screw up.
No, the only time I care is when I'm actively watching, because it's like a tutorial walkthrough capacity. It's like, you labeled this as a walkthrough and you're dicking around. I don't want to see that. I want to know how to solve this puzzle.
Right, yeah.
But if it's somebody that I just like, I don't care how well they play. I'm there just to watch them.
Yeah. So I think I'm doing a good job of getting over that. And I'm not like, when I mess up, I'm not like, oh, sorry, guys. I know this is painful. Ooh, this is so bad. Oh, I can't believe like that. I think that would be worse than just making a mistake and going, oh, well.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. I just streamed Zelda. Mm-hmm. And like, I was really, so I screwed up in the stream where I thought that, first of all, I didn't clear every dungeon up to 9 like I thought I had. So I had to go back and finish level 6. Then I went back to level 9 and then ran out of keys after I was talking all that shit on the podcast about not needing the master key or the magic key. And and then so on stream, then I'm like, screw it, whatever. So I look up an FAQ walkthrough of where exactly in Dungeon 8 the magic key was. And I just left it all in, didn't shut down the stream, didn't mess with it or anything like that. And then went back and stumbled my way through World 9, or Level 9, without getting the map. Like, I remembered that there was a stairway that I needed to bomb out of that room to get to the real stairway. That's all I really remembered, and eventually ended up at Ganon. And Zarek on stream, or on the archive, was like, it drove me nuts when you walked past the room to get the map like 50 times. So, AJ in chat says, when is The Last of Us 2 coming? I don't know. That hasn't been confirmed, has it?
Yeah, no confirmed release date. I would say 2018? Holiday 2018, maybe?
Yeah, it's Naughty Dog, so it's worth being patient, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say no earlier than that.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
Possibly. That gives me a lot of time to procrastinate before I play the first one. I really do want to play that. I don't want it to slip into a joke where it's like me not playing Super Mario Brothers or something like that.
Yeah.
Then AJ also asked what we'd speculate on about a new GTA game. 2020, maybe? 2019?
When did 5 come out?
That's what I was basing it on. I was going to guess 2014 for 5. So you have 5 or 6 years?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say probably, 2019, 2020.
I would be surprised if video game platform, or if consoles aren't more feeling like a platform versus a piece of hardware.
Yeah.
By the time the next one comes out, like, you'll just play it on PlayStation. That'll be some iteration of hardware. Your PS4 might not even play it, but it'll be on PS4, or it'll be on whatever Microsoft allows you to play on, or whatever. Like, It won't feel like you're playing on Xbox 2 or PS5. I really think it'll feel like games as a service by the time that comes out.
Yeah, it'll be on your set-top box that Sony puts out.
Like the Pro Plus. I don't know. Like something where they'll quit naming them. It's like you have an iPhone. Nobody really cares if you've got a 5, 6, or 7. You just say you have an iPhone. I think it'll be like that by the time the next GTA game comes out. But it will come out. Isn't that the number one most grossing game of all time?
I think so. Yeah.
That'd be my guess if it was trivia night. So, thanks. Hey, thanks, AJ. Appreciate it. I don't think you can donate, but because we're not partnered or anything, but appreciate the follow. That's awesome. Really grateful for that. If you'd like to join us in chat when we record, we do that on Wednesday nights, usually around 8 p.m. Eastern. And the show usually kicks off by quarter after, something close to that. So if you'd like to join us, that'd be awesome. Twitch.tv/classic_leet. So, any other thoughts about Deus Ex before I can nudge you into the next game that I really am eager to hear you talk about?
Deus Ex Mankind Divided seems like it's going to be really good. I play stealth more than like jump in and shoot. Although I just got I got through the introductory part. So now I've been stripped of like all my abilities, and I'm going to have to start all the way over. Kind of like a Metroid game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where you start out powerful and then. But come back or check it out on YouTube on Saturday.
Look forward to it. I
cleaned out a bookstore.
Like
Sunday.
Like a half price books kind of thing.
I don't know. It was a Czech Republic bookstore, but it was a front for a guy who does like some wet work on the back end. So I went down this elevator, and he was like this punk rock, like where am I at in that game? I don't know, somewhere in Europe.
Naturally, it's funny you say the Czech Republic. My mom's 100% Slovakian, but they're from near Bratislava, so we're part of Slovakia, not Czech Republic now. And we're talking about pierogies over the holidays. with my Polish buddy. Where his family's from Polish. He's not Polish. He's American. So he we started realizing that like Poland and like Slovakia were like, you know what? Screw the Czech Republic. Those uppity bastards. You can take your Prague, your money, and shove it. Also, we have D Jackson. Hey, what's up? He's asking in Twitch if we've ever watched The People's Court. I have. That's the one with the black judge, right? Is that The People's Court?
I don't even know. I went to Night Court. I was thinking like
John Lithgow and all that.
Yeah.
I loved that show as a kid, and I can't even explain why. Everything was adult jokes that I never would have understood.
Yeah. I think it was the guy who played the judge. I think he was just a cool dude.
He was a cool dude, and I also loved Bull. Was that his name? The big bald guy?
Yeah.
He was in a movie about like deadly fish, and it was one of the worst B movies I've ever seen. And this like piranha jumped up on a raft where he's in like a flannel shirt, and it was the most rubbery, fake-looking thing I'd ever seen. So yeah. People's Court was good. Night Court. Yeah, People's Court. Those kind of all blend together. There's Judge Judy, which I feel like is like the Jerry Springer. Like that's the biggest brand, most common thing, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. All right, man. So Revenge of Shinobi.
Yes, I watched the Happy Console Gamer, Johnny Millennium.
Okay,
he was doing a Revenge of Shinobi video, and if you have a certain copy of that, you fight Spider-Man, you fight Batman, you fight like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who becomes green as you hit him, so he looks like the Hulk.
Wait, really?
And then his skin comes off, and he's the Terminator.
How do you validate which?
You just have to play it. Like I read online that if it's copyright 1989, you probably have those before they saw that it was like copyright infringement and have them take it out. Like there's enemies in there that look exactly like John Rambo with flamethrowers. Yeah. So I was trying to get to that part to see if I had it, and I didn't make it because my game locked up eventually.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I have a Genesis cart that has 6 games on it, and one of them is Shinobi 3. It's called like the 6-pack or something.
Yeah.
Which also I think has Sonic 3 on it. It's like I think it's a legit cart. I don't think it was. I've seen it in lots of other video game stores and stuff.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder if that ROM would have it or not.
I don't think so. I think it was patched before that.
Oh, okay.
I say patched, but they took it out.
Yeah, it also makes me wonder. I might have a standalone Shinobi 3 as well. I'm gonna have to look.
2? I think this one's 2. Yeah.
Oh, it's 2. Okay, I was gonna say. Oh, I'm looking at the box. I definitely have Shinobi 3. I think. Wait, what's this? My eyes.
I need to get that one. That one looks awesome.
That one's fantastic. Revenge of. I'll look afterwards.
But yeah, Revenge of Shinobi is a side-scrolling platformer based on the Shinobi series. It was released in 1989 for the Sega Genesis, and it's a great game. It's a little stiff, kind of like its predecessor, but it's still like it's the halfway point between what 3 looks like and what the first one looks like.
I still think 3 feels a little stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he looks a lot faster, at least. Like he moves.
He does, and wait, was the Happy Console Gamer, when he was playing that, was that a recent video?
I think it was like a year ago, maybe.
It
was his favorite Genesis game ever video.
Because I was just watching someone play Shinobi on YouTube, and they were talking about how they loved it. Maybe it was My Life in Gaming. I don't know. So for whatever reason, There was they were talking about how deep the mechanics can get, where there's like a rush in Shinobi 3, and you
Mhm.
can do like a rush up and slash attack. And if you time it
Okay.
well, it's awesome and like really gratifying, but it's easy to screw up. And it, it looks like more of a run and gunner,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of tactful and skillfulness to it. I think it was Try from My Life in Gaming. So,
Do you remember the production values being like immaculate?
well, I just remember the gameplay and the commentary, and Giant Millennium has really good. But I see, I know what you're saying. Like My Life in Gaming's production quality is like through the roof. I've been so I'm trying to figure out a way to capture with the HD Retrovision
Mhm.
using my Elgato. Because if I can
Okay.
somehow pump a 240 signal into an Elgato, like then like I'm good to go.
Hmm.
Because I'll have my Genesis and my Super Nintendo like all square. Then I tried a converter that didn't work, kind of a transcoder upscaler. I found
Hmm.
another one that I'm going to give a try. But I started watching My Life in Gaming because I thought to myself, I wonder if a professional video monitor from Sony would act as a good pass through the way
Hmm.
that like a coax cable into a VCR would put out a signal from the VCR that capture cards could read and give you the
Hmm.
real 480i. So I started going to eBay to look at different professional video monitors and was using their video as a reference to see like what little things I would need. And there's these little converter caps that would allow me to plug my component cables into the RGB of professional monitors. And if you're not
Hmm.
familiar with PVMs, they're basically the monitors that like broadcast companies and stuff would use while they were doing animation or broadcasting live TV. So there's a lot of like wild, cool functionality with that stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I should use some SCART cable converters and trying to come up with all this stuff. And I, instead of getting too ahead of myself, I bought another transcoder. It's $20. I'm going to start simple. If it doesn't work, then I'll consider going down the rabbit hole of testing whether a professional video monitor would work as the pass through the way that I would want it to. There's no real way to tell, but it still sent me back to rewatch their video several times to try to get all the facts straight and whatnot.
How much would that run you?
Between, it looks like for the functionality that I would want, about 150 to 250 bucks,
Okay.
and
That's
for not knowing. Now,
that's not far off from a frame micer.
no, it's not, and but it like if I knew it worked, I would love to have a PVM.
Yeah.
Like that is the best retro games are going to look. Period. It's just that's the truth of it. So
Yeah.
if that would allow me to act as a pass through that would actually kind of upscale or at least transcode to a signal that the Elgato would pick up,
Hmm.
would be like unbelievable. So I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed. With the AVS on my NES catalog, I don't have to worry about this for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shinobi's awesome. Sorry to derail. Do you think you'll finish it? Think you'll get back to it?
I'd like to. I'd like to see if I have that a copy of that. It's definitely that game's tough. It doesn't screw around.
No.
The double jump. I was so perplexed by the double jump for a minute, but it's the weirdest double jump in the world. You hit the jump button and you hold it down until the peak of your jump, and then you press it again and you'll double jump.
Yeah.
If you tap, it doesn't work.
Weird.
Yeah.
I bet if you get used to it though, like it'll flow well. But
Yeah, you have to because the second stage has platforming in it that requires a double jump. So
it's probably a good tutorial, right?
yeah, it took a continue, but I finally got it down.
It wouldn't be an old game if you didn't continue right away, right?
That's right. Yeah, like because I got to that stage and I kept dying, but I wanted to learn how to do it. So That's how good the game is.
That's good. That's good game design right there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, anything else you've been playing before I chit chat?
I don't believe so, and it looks amazing with on HD retrovision cables.
The Sega Genesis is really where I think you can make a case for the Super Nintendo ones that it definitely looks better, but you probably don't like. It's not like a stark difference because the composite's much better out of the SNES. Man, when you go from a composite Sega cable to the HD retrovision cables, it's insane.
Yeah.
And that's what has me want to use a PVM. It's like, if I can max that out, it's hard not getting into that stuff. Like getting down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's why I need a girlfriend. Just like someone to smack me on the wrist. Like, you do not need that. Whatever you're envisioning, you're not going to do that.
It's even worse because I'm trying to live vicariously through you. Like, I'll never be able to buy that. You should
You're
do
like, do it.
Let me know.
You're always sending me like slick deals.
Watch, tomorrow there's going to be a PVM deal that's going to come down.
It'll be PVM and like pepper spray grenades. Like, it'll
the bare necessities. You'll be set for 2017.
That's right. So yeah. Also, I guess what I've been playing, Dustin, I was really dismissive of the game Devilman when I picked it up, and it was brought up in something I was watching on YouTube, and it was described to me as kind of like a Pac-Man clone that Shigeru Miyamoto made. So it's one of the first games he designed for console. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna give this a try again. So keep an eye out for that.
I think it's the only one that's never come to America.
That he touched?
Yeah.
It could be. Maybe that's why it was on like the quintessential, like all the lists that I try to look at as far as like must-have Famicom stuff. This was always on that list. So now I understand, and now I'm going to look at it with a bit more of a forgiving and a bit more of an academic sense, where it's like, okay, like this looks shittier than Mario, but it was made before Mario, but it was still like a good musician, right? Like they could like wail on a shitty guitar, and you could see that it sounds like crap, but you can hear the talent. Like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So maybe it'll be like that, where once I get a little bit into it, not be so surface level with my judgment, I might really like it. I might still hate it, but I'm gonna go back to it after I dismissed it. So live and learn, right? I hope I like it because it was cheap. Like it was a wildly popular game. It was definitely worth trying.
Sweet.
It's an all black Famicom card. Just kind of looks rad. It has cool cover art. So we will see. Also, I played some more Doom. I failed to finish Doom and Owlboy in my week off of work, where I worked every day. I had a 6-day work week in my week off. It sucked.
Oh, that's a bummer.
My dad, when I got in the office, he's like, well, how was your break? And I'm like, well, wasn't really much of a break. He's like, well, you didn't have to come into the office. And I'm like, except for the time where I had to come into the office.
Dad.
It wasn't his fault. It was the customers. So it was just one of those things where it's like, I didn't feel like I was on like a break. So I still had the anxiety. I still had several meetings. I got to do them over the phone, but it was still like, man, I want to finish Doom and Owlboy so I can get to Joan Toon and Hitman.
You should have played them while you were on the phone with them.
Yeah, that would have worked well. So, but I played some more Doom, and I love it. It's just, that game is so amazing. It fits my style as far as I want a single player. I want to be able to pick up and play it. I want a reasonable learning curve. I want a progression. I want some funny references. I want it to be fast. Like all these little things that I really enjoy about video games in general. A lot of that's present here, and a lot of the things I don't care for tend not to be here, which has been just great. And like, I'm not really much for heavy metal music, but something about it just makes you feel like you can flip off hell. It does not matter. You are rad. So I felt bad. My buddy Matt, he picked up Doom because Giant Bomb had gushed about it on their Game of the Year stuff. It didn't run real smooth for him, and I think he was victim of the hype
Yeah.
Like when I picked up Doom, I saw 5 stars from Brad. I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna try this,
Yeah.
and that was enough for me. But if I would have heard people like talk about it in the manner that they did on the Game of the Year, pretty high expectations, you know.
Yeah.
Like they're fighting for it to be the game of the year, from a staff perspective. Like that's pretty high praise. So
Yeah.
sucks, Matt, but hang with it. I promise it's awesome.
I was listening to those, and I think it was the fourth day where they were talking about music, and they start listening to music to determine which one
Oh,
was
right.
what sounded like good, and like they start playing music, like, okay, here's the first track, listen to this, and then immediately Alex Navarro starts talking over the music.
Yes.
I cracked up. I started thinking about you, like, like shut the hell up, Alex, you bastard.
Like, maybe that's like behind the meetings. They're like, hey, look, you can run this or whatever. And that's like his shtick or whatnot. I don't know. He wouldn't. The fifth day didn't bother me as much. Everybody had kind of dogs in their fight. So everybody was talking. That's all I want, you know. I don't want judge, jury, and executioner to be one single guy.
Yeah.
So even if
He just gets excited.
he does, and I understand. I've got friends like that. I've been like that. That's all that it is. It doesn't. While I can sympathize and empathize with being in that situation, if an actor is really bad in a movie, it can still ruin the movie for me in a way. So
Yeah.
maybe next year. Oh well. I was lucky though. I only skipped the best moment of the year discussion and best story of the year, and didn't feel like anything was ruined or spoiled or anything like that. So it was good to have that in that break while I was working on my vacation.
Yeah. They did a really good job of avoiding spoilers.
They really did. And I do feel bad that now that I pointed out that annoyance that I have with the way Alex is in those, I feel like I've ruined that for you because now you're hyper aware of that where it might not even. Yeah, it is good natured. Like he definitely is just excited to talk about that stuff. It's just weird because it feels like a guest spot,
Yeah.
like a guest coming in, even though he's always been there. It's just a very weird. So, that used to be my only exposure to him. That's why it really drove me nuts, like, when he was around. And now I love the stuff that they do at the East office. Game of the Year drives me insane.
It would, regardless, it would have driven me crazy for him talking over the music, because I actually got excited when they started playing music, like, oh, I really want to hear this, and then he starts talking, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah. So, but definitely go check out the Giant Bomb Game of the Year stuff. It was awesome. Just fun. Also,
It's like 15 hours of quality entertainment.
It really, yeah. Quality is a key word. Like, it is enjoyable discussions. I like those. I also played Zelda on the stream. I finished the Famicom version, Disk System version.
That's awesome.
I think I finally have my streaming figured out, Dustin, with the Elgato software.
Okay.
It corrects for that latency issue that I had. And I think I know what I need to do in order to not get an error message that says that our channel can't stream. I figured out that if I have the streaming page up where I can see the live stats, whether I'm live, if the chat's up or whatnot, I can go live with the software. But if I don't have that tab up as the first thing that I see, it doesn't connect. So it's almost like a failsafe. Like it's like you need to know you're on stream or we're not going to have this go. So it's kind of a nice little failsafe. It took me a while to figure that out. But finally that worked, and I think the quality of the video looks really good for an NES game. So I've been really happy with that stuff. So I think I've got that squared away, and that's why I really want to funnel everything through the Elgato if I can.
Cool.
Because it just works.
Yeah.
So that's good. So the no latency, like when I would react, the sound effects lined up and my voice lined up to what was happening. But what's frustrating, or what was frustrating about that experience was I've complained since I got a disc system that it's been kind of fussy. And I ended up on a YouTube video that was linked through a Famicom Disk System fan forum.
Okay.
Where people are having discussions about glitch issues between like flickering sprites in certain scenarios, which is not related to my issue at all. My issue was like if you turn on the disk system, you're just supposed to get that, that screen that like comes down and then eventually gives you an error that or loads the game.
Yep.
So normally what would happen was I would get to that screen, it would come down, but as soon as I connected my RAM adapter that plugs into the actual disk drive, whenever that was connected, it just would either stop working or would get kind of wonky. And I would notice that my Bluetooth dongle would quit working whenever I would turn that on. So it would take this weird sort of finagling to eventually get it to all fire up and work, where my USB dongle was working and the disc would boot up and all that stuff.
Okay.
And through watching this video about this guy showing a glitch fix, it explained to me the difference between the launch RAM adapters that connect to the disk system that plug into the Famicom and then other iterations of it. And now the form factor is identical, but they changed some of the circuitry due to chips failing.
Okay.
And the plastic on the outside changed. So if you have a smooth finish, like a piano finish, it's an old one. And if you get a rougher matte finish, it's a newer one. And the old ones are more prone to failing. So I went and I looked. Sure enough, I have an old one. So I went on eBay and ordered a new one for me. But it has the correct matte finish. So I'm optimistic that I just have a bad RAM adapter and there's nothing wrong with the disk system itself. And hopefully this new RAM adapter will make all my Famicom discs just work as they're supposed to. The way I got Zelda working was doing some old school, like, hitting reset a bunch of times and manipulating the carts around, and eventually it just worked. So I had to stream. I was playing with it, and it lit up. I'm like, well, I guess I'm streaming right now. I don't know if this is going to work again. So I have that on the way. Hopefully that'll work. That would be awesome if that's all that it was.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Because I did pick up Bubble Bobble, because that didn't come out here on... you can only get it on the disc system, I guess. Bubble Bobble 2 came out here, but that game's like $1,000, so... and also I got Super Mario 2, the Japanese Famicom one, the Lost Levels, which is weird. I remember, so my friend Nick, when I was growing up, his mom, I played the Lost Levels as a kid on a real NES. First, second, third grade, somewhere in there. And there was a weird cart that I'd never seen before. It was either gold or light blue and... kind of like a Comic Zone type of cart, but the shape was different, and you needed a ribbon to pull it out of the system.
Okay.
It had the artwork from Mario Land on the Game Boy on it.
Okay.
And my buddy's mom had to sign a release and give her credit card or something like that in order to get this game. So... what I thought was my first exposure to an import was actually my first exposure to, like, really high-level piracy of, like, a knockoff cart that somehow someone got to work in the guts of a regular NES.
Man.
And I remember the Mario Luigi selection, like, all the poison flower, and there were times where I would try to talk about this and people would think I was crazy, like to the point where I thought like maybe I had a fever dream that this didn't exist. Then when the internet came out, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's I played a weird Japanese import thing that Network Video got in. So how does somebody in Findlay, tiny little town, at a video store get connected with that before message boards and the internet? You know, like, was it one of his, like, maybe his movie distributor, right? Like, that he'd always bullshitted with on the phone was like, hey, I got a little something extra.
And he opened his trench coat over the phone.
Right, and he probably had to pay like $100 to get that cart in, like, 1989 money or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, like it's just like they say, like the more information you have, like usually means the more questions you have, not the more answers you get, right? So once I learned what that cart was, once I learned about that game for real, it just made me more and more curious. Like I would kill more than stadium events, more than anything. I want that exact cart that I played as a kid from Network Video. I have no idea. I want to know that story. How'd that cart come to be? You know?
Is it still around, that store?
No, it's been long gone.
You could track down the owner somehow.
That's what I'm thinking. Like they need an Ancestry.com for video store owners.
Right.
So yeah, and then also I did. I picked up a copy of Cyborg Justice for $10 with the box. I fired that up on the emulator a little bit. First impressions are terrible, but there's some very interesting things. As far as there's almost like character creation before the game starts.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like customizing your weapon and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna give it a good go. It's a neat cart. Like it just it's rad to have in your collection, right? But I'm very curious to actually play that. Try to figure out what I'm supposed to do. I'll probably watch some tutorials on YouTube, so I'm not like get some tips, like pick this weapon or this armor.
Yeah. Like chainsaw arm.
Yeah, right. Like I wasn't sure. Like, do I use the laser beam? Do I use the chainsaw arm? And there were a couple other weapons too. There was like a throwing fist, kind of like Mega Man 3, one of those bosses you could throw a fist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was like 5 or 6 different like weapon types, and some were melee, some were ranged. And it was really cool to have that perspective. And they are giant sprites, and I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully, I like it. I know it's going to look good, if nothing else.
All right.
And then also because of Giant Bomb's Game of the Year, when they started getting to the Game of the Year discussion, and we're talking about Picross 3D Round 2 on the 3DS, I was like, man, they're crazy. It's a puzzle game on the 3DS. So I'm like, I'll go get it. And I went to the eShop, and it was $30. I'm like, whoa, for a puzzle game?
No sell.
Then I went to go look at how much the cart costs. Cause I'm like, this is like it was cheaper to get the download. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't know. And out of a impulse, I bought it. And I'm having a hard time putting it down. It's
all right.
It's fun the way Pushmo was fun.
Yeah.
So if you ever liked Pushmo, it's fun the way that first one was.
Every time I hear somebody talk about Picross, it's always like, it's so good. They're addicted to it. What
I don't understand is why it feels so good. From what I can tell now, if you don't care about certain things, like you can just kind of brute force your way through it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can replay levels. And one of the neat things, though, is they give you goals as far as like doing well to unlock other things in the game. So you can go back to puzzles that you beat your head over, and if you can solve it in a quicker time or whatever, or with less errors, you'll get rewards for it, which will unlock more levels to play. And this this had the very first instance of me being happy to have an amiibo.
Oh. Wow, all right.
Zelda Twilight Princess incompatible. The NES that I got from the Cartoon Retrocast Secret Santa incompatible. So I'm starting to get frustrated. I'm like, fucking amiibos. They're cute little statues, and I like having them, but I'm so glad I never invested in one of these. And then I unlocked the Mario level, and Mario worked. The 8-bit Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a fun puzzle. And it's really smartly done, and it's really elegant. I don't know. I really like the game. We'll see if I burn out, but I so far do not have any buyer's remorse, and that's expensive for a puzzle game.
Yeah, dude, sweet.
But hours are hours. Like, hearing the Giant Bomb guys talk about it, like they played it for hours and hours, and still feel like they've got an infinite amount of puzzles left. So
yeah.
I don't know, it's neat. It's a cute little rewards. Like you'll somehow in this weird plane of blocks, you'll have the letter A arise, but it's not obvious until you finish the puzzle. But all you found was the letter A. It's very strange. Or like a multiplication sign. But it felt good to find that. It was very strange. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have been doing. A lot of eBaying and stuff like that recently. Boy, if this RAM adapter works, man, then I'll be done with my Famicom carts or the discs that I really want. There were some others, like some shooters and stuff that never came out here that I wanted to try, but too expensive.
Yeah.
And I did find a Japanese Galaga because it's like half price than the American release. I found it for cheap again, so it popped back up. So I mentioned last week that I didn't pull the trigger on a Galaga, and it came back up for the same price. Different vendor, but I was like, oh, okay. And I love Galaga. That's one of my favorite arcade games. My favorite out of that line between like Galaxian and Galaga and Gorf. Gorf is the best. It's not popular, but it is the best. I love Gorf so much.
And it has the best name.
It's just like, what was it? What was that thing earlier? Quanf?
Quelf.
Gorf. Just sounds brown and like dirty. I don't know. Gorf. But it's rad. It's awesome. So yeah. All right. Well, we got some great comments from Tony and Damez. So let me go ahead and start with Damez's stuff. And then he does say, first, even a 10,000 year calendar is not really right. There are no real years because orbital period of the Earth around the Sun is always changing slightly over the ages. Yes, of course that we don't know the actual time. The point of the 12,017 is more about changing your perception of how we view human history relative to technology and our progression, not necessarily trying to figure out what real date it is. You know what I mean? And
we could go like year 600,000,000, 12,017.
There you go. Yeah, see? Eventually, we're just getting to an arbitrary measurement of time. So sorry if we didn't convey that. It's much more philosophical than scientific.
Ooh, or would we have to wait until the Earth had formed and was starting to orbit the sun?
I would argue that you don't.
First, right?
No, not necessarily, because matter cannot be created or destroyed. So the atoms that make up the Earth already would have existed based on that principle. So you could.
Yeah, but we wouldn't know how many rotations it had gone because.
Oh, that's a good point too, because you'd be retroactively putting that measurement on something that.
Yeah.
Was measuring something when it didn't exist. Maybe it's like a yard and or no, it's a meter and a sound wave. Is that how they determine an exact meter?
That sounds good.
It's like the difference between like a particular sine wave or something is how they determine like a second, or they found something that's like rock solid that's not just like a best estimate. Like at the atomic level, they figured out something. So yeah, Demez, it's just more philosophical and fun thought experiment. Because it's weird. Like every time, like the Mayans or Egyptians do something amazing, you're like, oh, how did they do that? Like before the Roman Empire, like that's where we always kind of cut stuff off. Instead of looking at the Roman Empire as a progression, the way that we would look at Roman Empire, then maybe like the Renaissance and then the Industrial Age. You know what I mean? We like had this weird chop off when the Roman Empire started, or like in the middle of it when Christianity when it started. Like that's a weird like cutoff. You know what I mean? From a perception of human progress. It's weird that picked up. Like, because so many cultures would have not had that. Like, to convert people over to that measurement was really strange. Like if some dude just came up to me and was like, "Hey, this is now the date," and like I didn't opt into that thinking, I'd be like, "Get out of here! This is the year of the dog." You know what I mean? I just like that stuff. It's cool to think about how we got to where we are. So, and then also he says that he sees that the podcast is. Oh, were you gonna say something?
No, I was laughing about some guy coming up to me and saying, "Hey, this is the date."
Right, it's always an opt-in thing. You ask for the date, right? You ask for the time.
Yeah.
The only people that tell you the date are like the crazies at the airport trying to hand out pamphlets about the world ending.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, does not.
Yeah, like I picture like the beginning of Airplane.
Oh, dude.
Which, the guy from Night Court. Why am I blanking on his name? He's one of the monks.
Oh, he is. Yeah, the Krishnas.
Yeah. Oh, what the hell?
Bull.
I just said his name at the beginning of the show.
Bull.
John Larroquette.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what were you going to say about Airplane?
Oh no, I was actually going to say a good, like, if Bill and I ever did another show, then he should name it "The End Is Nigh."
Oh, there you go. I always Watchmen always comes to mind with that phrase. I know that's where I was introduced to it, was Rorschach holding that sign. Good stuff. So Dumbass also says, I see the podcast is just 1 hour. That means it's going to basically be half the show of my comments alone. We did okay stretching out, or like condensing, so it's not just his comments. But Dumbass, thanks for bailing us out when we need something to talk about.
Yep.
He also says the retro AVS will not output a PAL signal to your TV, which is very interesting. He says it will frame convert, like upscaling, but with the frames instead. Through some magical wizardry, it will just make new frames and output to 60 FPS. If the game was converted poorly for PAL originally to use the same speed, then you will notice a difference in the timing of anything. But it was done like Sonic, and it will be super slow-mo. Yeah, I've seen like some old Sonic PAL stuff where it's just like 17% slower. So everything just sounds like
dun 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 dun. That'd be awesome.
Screwed and chopped. Is what the Houston people would say. Yeah, which it was really interesting. I was gonna make a video specifically showing the AVS and how it handles Contra versus Probotector. Because I was always under the impression that things might feel a little slow or a little off. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, this TV I'm using doesn't have a lot of smarts behind it. So I'm not sure it would support a 50 hertz signal.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how the Elgato would handle a 50 hertz signal. But when I played Probotector on the AVS and flipped it to PAL, it worked and sounded and felt exactly like Contra. So I was expecting it to be a little slower and a little, both musically and gameplay wise, and it didn't feel that way. So I would kind of like to do a comparison to show off what the AVS does, as far as maybe it like fixes port programming or poor ports.
Mm-hmm.
But it was weird. I didn't expect it to feel perfect.
Right.
And it did. So now I want to go back and do like the high-speed camera stuff, you know, and really side-by-side compare recordings of those. And I might make an interesting video for YouTube. But it specifically AVS, not comparing a PAL NES and a regular NES. It's like, what kind of, like he said, wizardry? What are they doing that's making this all work the right way? It was neat.
And then you can throw in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
On top of that.
Yeah, might as well just, then you're just showing off, but might as well. Because they all do run a little differently, I guess. But I think piped through the AVS, it's correcting for all that stuff, which makes me that much more impressed with that system.
Man, thing's cool.
Yeah, and when I thought that maybe the port was bad on my AVS for the Japanese, for the Famicom slot, but the second I would put in Devilman or any other Famicom cart only, it would fire right up. So it's not the slot. It's God, I hope it's that RAM adapter. Not that that was cheap to replace, but you know when technology quits being fussy, it just feels good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping for that sensation. Maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow, maybe Friday. Then also, he says, Dumez has some awesome comments here. He says, essential GBA games for me to get are Mario versus Donkey Kong, maybe the best GBA game. He says Metroid Fusion, Metroid Zero Mission, all three of the Castlevania games. He said play Castlevania Circle of the Moon first. He says because it is the worst one, but it's still great. But if you play the second, you might not like to go backwards. Final Fantasy V also. Does that have a 6? 6 is the one I really want to play.
I don't think so.
I think maybe the DS has. They definitely re-released it that I could play on a DS, but it might be a DS cart, like Chrono Trigger.
They probably. I know they have a PlayStation version of that. So you could, if you do, you still have your Vita,
Yeah.
or a PSP, you could probably download it.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's on a collection. I think it might be not Origins because that was 1 and 2. Anthology that may have had that and Chrono Trigger on it.
Okay. I'm not like if I can play it legitimately, I will. If it's not a high barrier to entry.
Yeah.
And they are still actively selling that game, so I feel like I should get a real copy of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I try to not pirate unless there's like no other choice. It's either I pay a third-party reseller, or like Bubble Bobble 2. Why would I pay for Bubble Bobble 2? Hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Easy.
Like Tony and I were talking about it, and I can't imagine being into video game collecting to not be like building a backlog, but to get into it for like the dollar amount that's assigned to it.
Right.
I have done that in the past, but it's always worked out. I did get like a phenomenal deal on Chrono Trigger and a phenomenal deal on Secret of Mana, but part of that was because it was part of a big store trade-in, where you just are like, all right, I'm picking some big hitters because I have to spend this money. So Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger, I want to say they only charged me like $35-$40, like at retail.
Mm-hmm.
Secret of Mana was $30.
That's not bad.
Complete in box Gunstar Heroes was $15.
Man, that's really good.
Yeah. So I got some good deals, and they doubled the store trade in on Rock Band. Like that's how I ended up with like $350 of store credit for trading in all my Rock Band stuff.
That's awesome.
So I have some amazing video games because of that. You know, I don't really miss the Rock Band stuff. My friends that come over, like, no one requests to play Rock Band anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have a better time playing ice hockey or busting out Zelda Monopoly or something. So
Fibbage, something.
Fibbage, yeah, I did get the Jackbox Party Pack 3. I haven't tried it yet, though. But I'm eager to give that a go. Okay, yeah, so then Tony said that's a great list, and Dumez just responds to Tony by saying, you can't go wrong with my starter list. I love Dumez's swagger, man.
Yep.
He'll just tell you, I am awesome. And
Yep.
there's something about the way he just does it that it just cracks me up, and I love it. I don't have the swagger on that. I've had a couple things, but I love that. So, okay. Thank you, Dumez. Everybody make sure to go check out Dumez's stuff on YouTube. It's Duhmez. He's awesome. Cool Canadian dude. So, all right, Tony. Or I did it again. I saw Tony's name and I called you Tony. All right, Dustin. What does Tony have to say?
All right. He says, hey, guys, Happy New Year. Speaking of, I too am ticked how people are blaming 2016 for things. It makes no sense, and they are usually the most negative people I know, anyways. So I don't think the year makes any difference. Dustin, I'm excited about your new series on weekends. I will be sure to check it out when I can and leave some feedback. And then he goes on to ask, what classifies a game as cyberpunk? So cyberpunk is kind of it's almost amorphous, kind of you could apply like a spectrum to any sort of science fiction. A lot of times cyberpunk deals like the big tag for cyberpunk is high tech, low life.
Yeah.
And I like to think of it as like if technology went through puberty, it would be cyberpunk.
That's really good.
Because there's it's kind of going crazy. You don't know where it's headed. And there's none of the really good stuff. Like you're becoming an adult, but you're not an adult. So you can't do anything that adults do.
Yeah.
But you think you're an adult. So it's kind of the same way. It's a technology is getting,
and it's usually I would say the technology is usually not so mechanically based necessarily, like you would see in steampunk, where they have elaborate boiler systems and I forget what those rigs are called, like mousetrap. What are those where you have like a bucket kick over a shoe that sets off a race car? There's a name for that.
Gold something. It's named after the guy.
Gold. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So when it's more geared towards that stuff, like mechanical triggers and stuff, that's not really cyberpunk. At least in my. So when you say the technology, it really feels more
digital,
like digital and advanced, and not analog.
And it's also like it's kind of a manifestation of people's optimism in technology going wrong.
Yeah. Unlike Star Trek, where like the world has shit figured out. So now we're going like that's not cyberpunk, even though it's got the high tech.
Right. And like take Blade Runner, for instance. You have like we figured out flying cars, but they're just cop cars that chase down bad guys.
Exactly.
They're not used for like space travel or anything. They're just normal cop cars.
Right, and like and in Blade Runner, it's another good example where they're using newspapers even though cars are floating.
Right.
Like
we've created replicant human beings and we use them as slave labor. And they're like superhuman, but they die in 4 years, and the only thing they want to do is find their creator. So it's very much it usually also deals with like corporations being huge and untouchable, kind of dystopic, usually very dark. Like again, go to Blade Runner, it's always raining or the smog. Even like I always wondered why the whole movie takes place at night, but it doesn't. It's just the smog is so thick that you barely get any sunlight.
And it also usually has like high contrast in colors. So you like, I know Blade Runner's just right there, but like that's a lot of yellows and blacks, right? But also you'll see some cyberpunk stuff that will have a lot of dark tones and then some really bright flashes of like pink or like a blue or a teal green, or I guess what we would have called like maybe some Lisa Frank colors back in the 90s, or like BT kind of stuff from the 90s, like those kind of shades of pink and teal and stuff. But contrasted really against, like a really, but put up against dark instead of Lisa Frank doing it. Like her color palette, like sprinkled in. And yeah, I don't know. Like it's like trying to define RPGs. Like eventually you start saying wrong shit, but that's the general feel, right?
Eventually you realize that genres are kind of not like a thing,
right?
Just kind of an idea. And sometimes we'll deal with like transhumanism, people having like robot body parts, or AI, like Neuromancer has stuff dealing with artificial intelligence.
And the morality behind that. Like a lot of the fun stuff that Cyberpunk does is that a person? Like when is something sentient? When is it not? Where they give you something that's a really obvious answer, and the more you get into it, you start to realize it's a little bit more complicated than you thought. Unlike the game where Johnny Fives had... What game was that you were playing?
Soma.
Yeah. They were trying to do that.
Yeah, it's a hell of that game, man.
So hopefully that answers your question to a certain degree, Tony.
Yeah. I was watching a movie called Automata, and they were dealing with these artificial intelligences and or androids, and one of the bad guys. This is like the movie itself was okay, but this one scene really made it for me. They're chasing them and they get to him, and one of the bad guys is walking in, and he points to one of the androids and goes, "Does this one have a soul yet?"
That's pretty good. Which I mean that's like a funny line, but when you dig deep, like that's a deep question. You know what I mean? Like, where can you itemize the soul? Like, can you program, like, just fun stuff to think about. So,
and even better because he didn't give a damn. He was like, "Nah, whatever."
Because it's so matter of fact, right? It's so commercialized at that point. Like, they've identified a soul to a certain degree, I'm assuming, so they can now assign it. So it loses the meaning of what we view as a soul from our perspective because they've assigned some real definition to it. So yeah, Cyberpunk. That's our best. That's our best. Zelda's a JRPG. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there's.
So he goes on to say, "I am old and lame, so might just be out of the loop. Awesome news about Windows 10 running off of ARM processors soon. Although I rarely use Windows outside of work, as we are Chromebook users. On the Xbox One, I will say the UI has increased dramatically since launch. I was playing my PS4 a lot more at launch, but now I've spent a ton of time on the Xbox One front. Still glad I have both. Dustin, don't buy audio cords at Best Buy unless you have a gift card. The markup is crazy. I went with the cheapy kinds, so I didn't
on those analog audio cables like RCA cables and stuff. Those are cheap. It's like HDMI cables are $20 to $50, where you can get them for like $6.
The monster gold plated.
You don't even have to wait for China to send them anymore. Like Amazon Basics, their brand of cables, I've had great success with.
Sweet.
Like I just got some HDMI 2.0 ready cables, and they were, I don't know, maybe $10 a cable. That's like the new standard. Yeah. I also use Amazon Basic batteries. They work rechargeable in the Analoop things, and they're like half the price. So I
wonder what the life's going to be like on them.
It's been indistinguishable. I never know whether I'm opening up batteries and will have Analoops in it or Amazon.
Dude, that's awesome.
There are some different levels, though. There's been some iterations on that, because I've got some black, like, Generation 2 Amazon Basics, but they're great. I mean, if it's rechargeable and you have enough of them to always have charged, and then you're in the habit of taking dead ones and putting them in the charger immediately, like, because I think I've rotated that through so well, maybe the battery life does suck, and I just don't know. But I think it's pretty. I think it's. My gut tells me it's been pretty good. Okay, sorry.
Where was I at? Oh, okay. Dustin, I grew up troubleshooting 386, 486 Commodore computers, and it's crazy to believe how far we've come. The best technology teacher back then was having a Packard Bell computer. They broke so often you had no choice but to learn how to troubleshoot them. I would spend hours doing that. The Ratchet and Clank game sounds awesome. I need to pick that up to play with the kids. Yeah, they'll love it. I saw Rogue One as well. I liked it, but I liked Force Awakens better. I felt like the first half of Rogue One bounced around too much. I did like it, though. Scott's so glad you're having fun with Doom. That is what gaming is all about. Line of the week this week. It's probably a little easier to hold because this thing is so tiny. Another great episode, guys.
I don't even know where that came out of.
Oh, the Game Boy Advance. You wanted an OG model with a backlight.
That's right.
I said it's probably easier to hold because this thing's so tiny.
Boom. So, all right, everyone, that's going to be the show. We ended up having a long episode. So, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Social media stuff. First, we want to thank Ben Landis very much for letting us use his song Through the Forest as our intro music. We are on Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. Also other podcast places. If you just look for Classic L337, you should find us. We're on Twitter. Our handle's at Classic Elite. Instagram now. Facebook, also that moniker at Classic Elite. I'm not sure if moniker is the right word. Twitch is twitch.tv/classic_elite. And then YouTube really encompasses everything as far as our content is concerned. And that's at youtube.com/classic elite. Also, if you just want to grab the RSS feed directly from us to put in whatever player you use, classicelite.com has that RSS link. And all of our stuff is aggregated there as well if you want to kind of peruse around and look for old episodes. I want to say that our RSS feed has 100 back episodes, so about half of our catalog. But if you want to go hear some old stuff, you can do that through our website, classicelite.com. Outro music this week, Dustin. I'm going to play another song from Arthur X Medic. I played him a while ago. Okay. This is a song called Barrier from his album Unwritten. It's kind of a cool groove, almost like a little bit of housey, Deadmau5 kind of. Sort of a cool, like, winter groove, I think. So, definitely check this song out. And, yeah. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. And we will see you next week. Oh, which I think we'll probably do Game of the Year talks next week. Our favorite games this year.
Sure.
Yeah. So, next week for episode 214, Dustin and I will talk about our favorite games that we've played this year, regardless of genre or release date. So, we'll see you then.
Boosh.
That was my bad.